Today is day 3 of the general debates of the 67th sessions of the United Nations General Assembly. Nearly 70 heads of states addressed the sessions during the last 2 days. The UNGA will now hear the submissions made by foreign ministers and vice presidents of national governments until the 1st of October. The 1st of October, that is Monday, would be the last day of the general debates of the 67th sessions of the UNGA. Minister of External Affairs Sri Lanka, Professor G.L. Peiris, will be addressing the sessions on Monday. During yesterday's sessions, the presidents of Kenya, Egypt and Iran addressed the sessions. And Newsfirst, of course, will keep you fully updated with regard to all the developments that will unfold from the UN headquarters in New York. I'm Shamir Rasuldeen reporting from the UNHQ in New York, USA.
U.S. Assistant Secretary for South and Central Asian Affairs Robert Blake says that the Sri Lankan government should now show the international community the concrete steps it has taken to implement the recommendations of the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission report. He made this comment exclusively to Newsfirst Shamir Rasuldeen on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York.
You visited Sri Lanka a few weeks back. Are you satisfied the manner in which Sri Lanka has progressed following the adoption of the March resolution that was sponsored by the U.S. government?
Well, first of all, let me say that the United States has had a very long partnership and friendship with the Sri Lankans that dates back to Sri Lanka's independence. And so during my visit, I stressed the need for really accelerated implementation of that, particularly on some of these very, very important issues that are so important to reconciliation. Things like accountability, things like Northern Provincial Council elections, and other issues like that.
Mr. Blake, many international community representatives who visited Sri Lanka during the recent past have said that the Sri Lankan government has made tremendous progress following the end of the conflict in the country, and especially after the adoption of the US-sponsored resolution in March. Do you think otherwise?
Oh, I think there has been quite a lot of progress. I think there's been progress in areas like resettlement of IDPs, although there have been some recent cases where the very last part of Manic Farms has been closed now. We had some concerns about the fact that the last remaining IDPs were moved out somewhat against international standards. There was not a consultation process with the IDPs to determine where they were going. They were taken to a place that was not their original home. So there are some concerns in that regard. But overall, the IDP process went well. Obviously, I think the government deserves a lot of credit for developing a lot of the infrastructure in the north, rebuilding schools, rebuilding some of the medical infrastructure.
Mr. Blake, terrorism that was plaguing Sri Lanka for nearly 3 decades was eradicated in May 2009. It's just 3 years following the end of the conflict. Don't you think time and space should be given to Sri Lanka to recover following the end of the conflict?
I think time and space should be given, but again, one of the things that I reminded our friends of was that, let's take the question of elections. When the East was liberated, the government was very quick to organize elections there within a year. And so provincial council elections were held. And now it's been almost 4 years since the end of the conflict, or at least the president has announced that the elections for the Northern Provincial Council would be by September of 2013. So that would be 4 years after the end of the conflict. So there's quite a difference between what happened in the East and what happened in the North. And again, we're simply reflecting the views of many Tamils on these issues.
Mr. Blake, the government is saying that the international community is exerting pressure on Sri Lanka even before the wounds of the conflict is healed. Your view on this?
Well, I guess I'd flip it around. I'd say that the faster that work can proceed on many of these important reconciliation matters, the faster the wounds of war can be healed.